So, hello, Tim. When I used to listen to the radio, I would like drive to a bunch of different places. Um, and I remember listening to like the new Mike and Mike in the Morning, which was not Mike Golick and his son. I can't remember what that was called. Wingo and Golick, whatever. Something like that. And at one point they were talking about how often do you clean your sheets, like your bed sheets. And there was like crazy differences in numbers, right? So some people do it like once a week. Some people do it bi-monthly. Some people like once every 6 months. And it was just like, I guess like the father did it like once every 6 months, because when he did it, like Golick Sr., and the kid was like, I do it every week or every 2 weeks or something like that. And I just thought that was hilarious.
And guys in college probably do it once every 4 years.
You know, I'm
maybe once a year.
Well,
when they bring their sheets home when they have to move out for the summer, I'm sure.
No, you probably take care of them. I would think that like I probably took mine home. I don't know. It's just interesting. We're grateful and delighted to be joined today by Lee Sheridan of a great company. We had him a few, October
11th is what you said.
2020.
Episode 27.
What did you say? Episode 27. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna like ask you how often you clean your sheets. That's personal information. You don't need to know when I do. But I know that that's an offer that something that Lee does with Two Maids, and it's something that has been very helpful for them, kind of as a, what would you call that? A turn down service? What do you call that when you like wash people's sheets type of thing, Lee?
It's called doing stuff people don't want to do. You know, it reminds me of the Seinfeld episode where they asked Kramer, you know, how often do you clip your fingernails or your toenails? And he says, between every 3 and 17 weeks. So I think that's the answer that you get with regards to sheets as well.
Is there a time, like, is there a preferred time that you're supposed to do it? Are on the sheets, so like on that little tag, does it say clean these every once in a while? Like,
I don't think there's
any time that you suffer from meat sweats would be a decent time.
Yeah, I'd probably say weekly would be recommended.
Okay, so why is it though that we clean our clothes basically daily, but not our sheets? Why do you think that is?
Well, mainly because it's a significant pain, right? Like it's you know, it's really easy to take your shirt off, but to strip the bed and take the sheets off and undo it and then bundle it up and put it into a washing machine that it doesn't fit into, so you got to do 2 or 3 loads. And then you got to dry it and it turns into this big ball and everything balls together. You got to separate it and then put it back in. So that's why people don't do it, because it's a pain.
And stripping the bed isn't as bad. It's remaking the bed is which, and it's not fun.
Nope.
But you've capitalized on that.
Yeah, so it's a service offering that we are expanding into. We have a short-term rental business. I have another business called Beach Hospitality Services, where we provide equipment and services to short-term rentals. So think of, you know, we'll lease out sheets, towels, blankets, duvets, duvet covers, bath mats, shower curtains, paper products, soap, shampoo, conditioner. Stock the kitchen with kitchen towels and kitchen soap and things like that. Then we provide a teardown service. So Two Maids A Mop will come in and you know, strip everything off the beds, clean the place. We'll bring clean linens and whatnot. We'll essentially provide, you know, end-to-end service for an Airbnb or short-term rental. We bring all that stuff back to our operation here. We have commercial washers and dryers. So when we talk about doing those beds, my commercial washer and dryer I could fit, you know, 10 king beds in one load. And so it's done from, you know, start to finish, wash and dry in an hour and 20 minutes. So we can do that. And we maintain all that equipment here for those customers.
If I had rental property, I think that would be the only way that I could do it. I mean, that I couldn't see doing it any other way.
Yeah, it's kind of a set it and forget it mentality, right? So when people call and ask like, hey, can you clean our Airbnb? Yeah, we can clean it, but we can also do this, and this. They're like, oh, okay, so I don't have to do anything. No, you just
so is that's just a standard upsell that's probably part of your sales funnel that you're working?
It is. Yep. And it's something that we haven't really promoted that much because until recently, before we purchased the building, we didn't have the infrastructure for it, right? So we would do it in passing, right? If somebody said, hey, can you do this? Yeah, we can do it. And I outsourced it to a third party. But at this point, because it's a lot more economical to have that equipment, under one roof. So yeah, we are now offering it a little bit more aggressively. And so that's through another company that I own, like I said, Beach Hospitality, and we need to build out that website. So it's a little bit more transactional. And we just haven't done it yet because I didn't have the infrastructure until recently, and I didn't want to be, too far ahead of it. Right. So
do you have to, can someone just get things cleaned, or do they?
Oh, absolutely. We're going to offer that. Yeah. We're going to start offering that on the commercial side. And then, we have 540, I could look and see what the number is today. It was like 540 recurring customers that were in every week, every other week, once a month. So we're going to start offering that laundry service to them, but strictly for bedding, right? I don't want to get into anything else, because we're going to be there, right? So if we're there, we can essentially pick it up. We could bring it back the same day, turn and burn it and bring it back within the next, 48 hours. And we could do your whole entire house in one load, and it's just done.
Are you still in just Virginia, or have you expanded to the Outer Banks as well?
No, we're just South Side. So we're primarily South Side. We haven't expanded into North Carolina. There's a couple of great companies down in the Outer Banks, and as you guys know, it's like getting in and out of Sandbridge on a Saturday in the summertime, right? It's a bottleneck. There's one way in, one way out. Same thing with the Outer Banks. If you're not already down there, it's tough to get in and out. So we're at this point, we're kind of staying, where we're at and servicing this community.
It's interesting that you came to that conclusion, because I think a lot of people would look at an opportunity and be like, oh, I got to be there. That's where people do this thing. And I don't know if you just, weighed some pros and cons or what, but as soon as you said that, and I try to go in on a non-Saturday day, by the way, because the one time I went there on a Saturday, it was like 4 hours of just like absolute nonsense. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, I can't do anything. This is terrible. And so if you had to have your team go down there, pick that up, that's a real pain in the tail. I guess the only way that you could make this happen is if you had a North Carolina HQ down there. Right. But I appreciate that, because I think a lot of people have a lot of ideas. Let's do this. This makes a lot of sense. But then when you start pulling back the onion, if you will, you realize, maybe this isn't the greatest of concepts conceptually right now. So
right, and it's just logistically, it's a nightmare. It's like making the decision that my wife and I are going to go out to dinner at the oceanfront on a Friday evening. Right, it's a great idea until you get to Atlantic. You're not getting anywhere anytime soon. You're missing your reservation. So, it's just I know what it's going to look like on Saturday, and navigating down there on those days is difficult enough. Same with our staff that's down at the oceanfront on a Friday or Saturday doing Airbnbs or doing just our residential customers. You have to account for the logistical nightmare that the oceanfront is, So I'd rather stay away from that for a bit.
I've got a question from Matt Castillo. He wants to know if you're going to be able to integrate into anything with Airbnb from the scheduling of your services. Do they allow third parties to pop into that? I guess would be the first question. And then if they do, are you looking at somehow trying to integrate with that? So
first off, Matt is a great guy. Matt, his wife and I used to work together years ago. So awesome seeing that Matt is on. Matt's a tremendous guy. He's got a tremendous family and a fantastic wife. So thanks, Matt. So we are not automating that at this time. So you can schedule your own cleaning at Two Maids A Mop online, either Two Maids A Mop Virginia Beach or Two Maids A Mop at Chesapeake. You can go and schedule your own cleaning online. It's a live, essentially it's going to mimic what our schedule is. But for the Airbnbs, because it's a little bit more delicate from a scheduling perspective, we are having those conversations with those hosts, so that we can make sure that we integrate it into our schedule effectively, because those things, we can go into an Airbnb that's, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, and we can turn it pretty quick, or we can go to an Airbnb that's, 5 bedrooms, 3 baths that, 15 people have stayed in, and we're going to need to adjust that time accordingly so that we do the job properly.
Man, that's I had my next question prepped and ready to go, but I mean, what a daunting task of following in someone that had 15. I mean, boy, that's a lot of people and a lot of mess to potentially have to clean up.
Yeah, and we counsel those Airbnb individuals, right? Like those hosts. We just let them know, like, listen, you got to have your rules dialed in, right? So you got to have your rules, where you no parties after 10, no more than X amount of people, and the short-term rental restrictions in Virginia Beach are fairly significant, right? So they're really tight on that. So, but we do tell our customers that it's pretty imperative that you set the expectation that either strip the beds or don't strip the beds. But if you're going to strip the beds, tell people to put everything in a certain area. Empty the fridge, all these little things that like you probably be like, oh, you leave the Airbnb and you're done, right? There's rules that people need to abide by, and that rating system that goes back and forth between guest and host is pretty effective, right? So, and we play a part in that where we can say, hey, listen, like we walked in and your guest, did everything they were supposed to do and did a great job, or wow, your place was a train wreck when we got there.
Well, when that happens, isn't there some sort of like, I don't know, demerit points where you got to get paid? They got to pay you for something like that. I mean, I can just think of like, Uber rides that go wrong, and you got to pay for that if something happens there. Like I feel like the Airbnb, if it's left trashed, there's like $150 fee on top of that. There already is a cleaning fee in some of those cases. Like, is there things on top of that?
So when you book, I think you'll probably see that there's a cleaning fee that's burned into your price.
Yeah.
And so that's why we talk to our customers beforehand and let them know, like, hey, listen, this is what it's going to be. So when you charge a cleaning fee, you shouldn't be losing money, right? So that should be a wash. So what we also tell them is that if we walk in and it's egregious, then yeah, there's going to be an upcharge. But here's kind of the thing with our pricing is that at the end of the day, we want to be fair and equitable, right? And I say that with, whether you're my vendor or my partner or my customer, it needs to be fair and equitable, right? So my opinion of that and your opinion of that may be two entirely different things. But when I look at it is that we have kind of a base price that we're going to do your place for, and we're going to tailor that price based on your place. I understand that sometimes I'm going to win where we're going to go in there and I'm going to budget, let's say 2 hours, clean the place, and we're going to be done in an hour. Okay. I'm also comfortable with the fact that I'm going to lose sometimes, right? That we're going to budget 2 hours and sometimes we're going to be in there for 2.5 hours or 2 hours and 15 minutes, right? So am I losing money? Well, it's not so much, but it does screw up the schedule. So I'm comfortable with I'm going to win and lose sometimes, and hopefully my customers are as well. But when we walk into it, it looks like Animal House. Hey, listen, we're going to make a phone call and, maybe take some pictures, do some video or FaceTime and say, hey, listen, this is what your place looks like. It's going to take an extra amount of time. And here's a flat rate for that extra amount of time. And at the end of the day, we do it in a timely manner so that you can report those individuals to, Airbnb, VRBO, whatever. So we're going to do it in a timely manner so you can report them. Any additional costs, for the most part, you can assess it at that time. So we partner with our customers along those lines. So, they're within those parameters that Airbnb or VRBO sets out for them.
Do you typically have the same crew go to the same house or same residence time and time again, or is it rotate out?
So from a residential perspective, that's our objective, right? Because they get familiar with the house and the customer gets familiar with them. So from a residential perspective, we want to make sure we're sending the same people to the same houses, in that rotation. Mm-hmm. Now, is that realistic? Not really. We have staff turns over. I mean, this is a transient type business. Yep. It's a revolving door. While we've been very, very lucky to have some people stay for quite some time, and we've got a tremendous team, 30 cleaners out in the field now. It's difficult to. I can't guarantee it, and I won't guarantee it. I tell people all the time, if somebody guarantees that they're going to send the same people all the time to do your cleaning, the only thing they're guaranteeing is that's going to be them that's coming out to clean your house. So don't accept that guarantee. And if somebody does guarantee that, it means they probably don't have a business, right, where they're licensed, bonded, and insured. It might be a small mom and pop, and they only have a couple of customers. We try and do that, but if we can't send the exact same team, we're going to try and at least send one of those people who's familiar with your house.
Because I'm thinking things just in the sense of like, if you could track on your end, for example, hey, it's been 6 months, it's time for us to, let's pull out the refrigerator and clean behind there, or once a year or every 6 months, let's clean the dryer vent or something like that. Or if you had people that, or you collected that data, that would, to me, that would be an easy upsell. Be like, yep, last thing I want to do is pull my dryer out and clean out that, and then it's just a way to continue to track that information and increase your take.
Yeah, and it's good information to have, but I had 23 years in insurance. We have some fairly rigid restrictions with regards to what we can and cannot do from like a workers' comp perspective or from a liability perspective. And while we can clean appliances, we can't use appliances and we can't move appliances. So we partner with other folks that can do that, right? So if somebody needs their dryer vent cleaned, hey, I got somebody in my back pocket that we can do that. And we send out a newsletter on a monthly basis, and we usually showcase one business in that newsletter that is like a home services business, right? So we did an organizer, we did like Closet Factory, we did a pet sitting service. I think this month we're doing an exterior washing company, or we might be doing a pest control company this newsletter. But there's things that what I can't do, that's fine. You'll never have to make another phone call. You could always call Two Maids A Mop, and we'll point you in the direction of somebody who's licensed, bonded, insured, vetted. People that I would do business with is who I'm going to recommend you do business with.
I always wondered why you did that. Because to me, when you put stuff like that into the email, you were adding complexity to something that was unnecessary. And so you articulating it here, I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Because I remember seeing it maybe in January, and I think it was the organization one, and I was just like, why is he promoting someone else in this thing? And so maybe it just wasn't clear in that it's, hey, these are friends of the business type of thing. Right. But when you articulate it like that, I'm like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. It's friends of the firm. Here are things that you're probably going to want to do to keep your health, your house healthy. And there you go. So it makes sense now. No, I get it.
Yeah. And again, and a lot of this is based on scar tissue, right? So, hey, we've helped people organize before. And that person's still calling me, asking me where their spatula is. I don't know.
Do you know where my socks go? Like, how can I find my socks? Because I bought some like $15 pairs of socks, which seems like a lot for me, like these running socks. I can't find one pair of them, and it pisses me off. So like, apparently there's a hidden trap door somewhere in the laundry machine. How do I get to this?
Yeah, it's not here. I tell you, we don't have it here.
Are you sure?
I'm certain.
They're pink.
Well,
I'm absolutely certain.
That was always one of our biggest challenges. We flirted around with having someone clean the house a while ago, and one of the issues that we had was that they would try to organize the house in ways that they thought served us better. Oh. And then when they would leave, it was like to your point, Lee, where's the spatula? It's like next thing you know, everything's all in different spots, and we're like, man, we can't have this. It's like,
yeah, and it's. And a lot of it is, staying in your wheelhouse, right? So, we're not, I don't want my staff going out there to organize, because everybody's going to do something a little bit different, right? So, we have a cleaning system that we use. We have a communication system that we use. We have the Airbnb system that we use. We have a laundry system that we use. And it's pretty easy, right? It's duplicable. It's easy to learn. Everybody can adjust to it. And if you're here for 2 weeks, you can, it's not hard. You can figure out. And if you don't, we'll help you. But it's really about staying in your wheelhouse. And I don't want to organize. Mm-hmm. There's certain things that we just, we're not good at. And there's too many variables. So we just stay out of it.
Two Maids is a franchise. And correct. You talked about kind of local mom and pop shops that could be out there. What was the decision on tag teaming with the franchise instead of just kind of going at it on your own, even though you had some kind of business experience over the last few decades?
So I tell people all the time, it's, a franchise is a business in a box, right? Open box, take the manual out, and follow the instructions, and you should be successful. You should be. It's like a recipe. You can change things up a little bit, add a little bit more of this, a little bit less of that. But at the end of the day, it's a structure that should you follow that appropriately, you should be successful. And that was appealing for me as an individual who comes from a strategy background. I have a litigation, background, claims background, legal background from insurance. It made a lot more sense for me to duplicate a system that has been proven. Now I say that, and I was a pretty early adopter of Two Maids A Mop. I think the Virginia Beach operation was the 35th or 37th franchise nationwide. And then Chesapeake, Norfolk was 80 or 77 or 78. So I like the idea of the franchise because it was a system. It was proven. And then in this area, given, the DOD is safe, right? So like our economy isn't necessarily impacted by Wall Street and the stock market and things like that. Our area is pretty much dictated by the DOD and the military. And as long as we're building ships and slinging bombs and sending people over, to protect us, we've got a stable economy here. And people are always moving in, they're always moving out. I'm not sure if you guys have driven around Virginia Beach, Chesapeake, Norfolk for a little bit, but they're still building houses, and there's some of a crisis on that. So, and there's a surplus in money, right? Because we've pumped a ton of it into the economy over the pandemic. So, people are using that onto some services like ours. So, it just made sense for this area. And when I looked at the demographics and I looked at the competition, there was space in that market. So it was just a good model for the area.
Yeah, I ran in an area yesterday that I'd never run in before, and I was like, oh, there's all these new houses going up. It wasn't even that far from my house, so that was pretty well.
Yeah.
What was the reason that you left the insurance industry, and how did you choose Two Maids A Mop as this is my future?
Yeah, I burned out. I burned out.
Yeah.
I had a big organization, I had a lot of responsibility. I had a position that had a lot of responsibility, but it didn't have a lot of authority, right? So trying to get people to do something that they should do, but trying to enforce that it was just difficult in the role that I was in. I was traveling a lot. Young kids, essentially, single-handedly made my wife a single parent, because I was traveling so much. So it was difficult. And I got to tell you, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed my position. I enjoyed my job. I enjoyed what I did. I enjoyed who I worked with. I met some fantastic people who I'm still friends with today, and who still support me today. And so that's fantastic. But, I got to a point where I had to make some critical decisions on, me, my family, my career. If I wanted to continue to advance, I'd have to move. And that move would have probably had to be to California. And it just wasn't in the cards. We're East Coast people. My wife's got a fantastic job. She's very respected in what she does. And so, she essentially became the priority, and so did my family. And so, which that should have been earlier than it was. But so yeah, I decided that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to jump ship. And I had this idea that I was going to buy this franchise, and I was going to be an absentee owner. So I was going to still work in insurance. I was going to have this side hustle. And I was just going to kind of watch it from 10,000 feet. Right. But I was in a meeting, and the meeting, for insurance wasn't going the way I liked. And I kind of had in the back of my head, well, I kind of have this exit strategy. I'll be doing this for a little while longer. And, then I'll jump into this Two Maids thing. And I literally in the middle of that meeting said, I'm done. Today's the day. I'm done. And that was it.
You stood up and left, or like you realized at that point?
No, I had the realization. I didn't stand up and say, I'm out.
I mean, as the self-proclaimed greatest interviewer in the world, I have to ask that question because I want to visualize that thing where Lee Sheridan's like, I'm done. Like, I'm out. Like, flipping the table.
No, it wasn't that dramatic.
Well, you made it seem like it was. So, I mean,
it was dramatic to the aspect of, I went and I called my wife and I said, today's the day.
So you had
Wow.
the business opened at that point though, or no?
I hadn't even signed the contract.
So how do you, okay, so walk me through, because I think a lot of people probably should put at least a foot in first to realize type of thing from a financial perspective, from a relationship perspective, a family perspective, all that stuff. Like, I mean, what ducks did you have in a row ready for that at that point?
Well, I had one duck in a row, right? And that was my wife. She gave me the green light.
It's an important duck to have in alignment with you.
Yeah, without a doubt. So, I said she got a great job. She's got a great job with benefits and all that stuff through her. And she knew I was miserable. She knew I was unhappy. And she was unhappy because I was unhappy, because I wasn't home. And when I got home, I was unhappy, right? And I was stressed out. So she's like, yeah, something's got to change, right? So when I made that call, I'm like, hey, today's the day. I can't do it, right? And she's like, okay, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. And then I called the CEO of Two Maids at that point, and I said, hey, I'm in. I'll meet you in Birmingham in 2 weeks, and we'll lock this down, and we're good to go. And he was flabbergasted. And that's what happened. I mean, that's literally what happened. I changed my flight plans and flew home that night. And my resignation was effective. Well, I gave my resignation that day. I think February 3rd was my last day in the insurance industry. And we went, full steam ahead and soft opening April 10th and grand opening April 17th of 2017.
560 something recurring customers. Obviously there's single use customers in there as well. What would the first kind of 6 months, 9 months look like in there?
So it's hard, it's hard because primarily our marketing is based on SEO, right? So as you guys know, search engine optimization takes a while to take root. It's not like you open your doors and Wavy TV 10 or Channel 3 comes and cuts a ribbon and says, hey, congratulations, Hampton Roads, they're open for business, give them a call. So it takes a while for you to populate higher on those search results. So the phone wasn't ringing, the phone wasn't ringing. I was just sitting there. I joke around. I tell people I was just sitting around drinking and smoking for, for however long. I had 2 employees and I had 2 customers. I was one of those customers. So it was difficult because the phone's not ringing and you scratch your head and you scratch your head for a long time. Like, hey, did I make the right decision? What the hell am I doing? How am I going to provide? Things like that. And it's scary. It's a scary 3, 4, 5, 6 months. But the phone rings. Emails come in. People do check you out on Facebook. They do follow you. They do check you out on Google and Yelp. And, they do support you. And then you find other business owners that support you. And when I left corporate America, I left a pretty strong support network, right? So there's an accountability component of corporate America. There's goals, there's objectives, there's people to check in on you and hold you accountable. You jump out of that and you lose that framework. It's gone, so I was somewhat rudderless for a while and I found a good networking group and that was fantastic. And then I found entrepreneur organization and I surrounded myself with people who were smarter than me and who have done it before, who've been kicked in the teeth. And next thing you knew, I was a member of a couple different organizations, and I was sitting down at a table with some pretty smart people who gave me some pretty good advice. And then things started taking off, and lo and behold, here we are. I bought a building, and we've got a ton of customers. I got a couple of managers. I've seen some of my people go on to do great things. So it's a tough first year. There's no doubt about it. But it got a lot better.
So was it the first hard couple months that you realized, whoa, man, I cannot be this franchise owner that from afar, I can't remember the phrase that you said. Is that when you realized that, hey, I got to be directly involved with this? I've got to steer this ship and we've got to make this thing successful?
Yeah, I did from day one. I mean, I never was an absentee owner. I was always an owner operator. The initial objective, which was to, have this at 10,000 feet and be an absentee owner, that never came to fruition because of that, literally that meeting that I had, you know, in one of our offices, the insurance office. That's where I just said, I can't do this, for lack of a better term, half-assed. I need to be the guy who's driving. And so I jumped in and, you know, I learned all the hard lessons, you know, from behind the desk, of being an owner, not of being in insurance. I mean, I resigned and the next day I started this business.
You know what's interesting about that though is that you don't seem like, I mean, I don't mean this in a negative way, but you don't seem like the front man of the business. Like you're not like out there pushing it in the same way. It does seem like there's other moving parts that are doing it. And so it's interesting that you've taken such a necessary role in the company, obviously, but you kind of do it behind closed doors, if you will, where I think other people are, you know, just very vocal on that. And so it's interesting that you're still seeing those kind of results, but a lot of stuff is to the naked eye, if you will.
Well, I think a lot of it is, you know, so people, right? I mean, it's surround yourself with the right people. So, you know, Sandy is my operations manager, and I don't know what I would do without her. She runs the day to day. You know, they remind me on a regular basis, I don't need to be here. And sometimes when I am, I get in the way. So she runs the day to day. She knows what she's doing. She knows our customers. She's the one that talks to our customers. I don't. And then Liz is our ops assistant, and Liz is, you know, fills in the gaps where you know, Sandy has other things going on, and she manages our customer relationship management system that we have. And then I have Melissa, who came on board in October, November, and she's our staffing specialist. I mean, I need somebody who is, you know, essentially attracting, recruiting, interviewing, hiring, retaining, managing culture, managing kind of, you know, our the issues that we have in the office and our people. So Melissa's doing that, and she's doing a great job. It's, you know, it's surrounding yourself with people who are better at things than you are. And listen, I'm not a details person. And a good friend of mine, Tom Knopfsinger, said this before. He's like, listen, don't tell me how to make a cake. Just tell me we're having cake, when and where, right? So I use that analogy often because I'm not good at the details. I'm not. I could run the business, right? I have a good vision. I know how I want things to work. I think that I can lead people, and I think that I can inspire people, and I think I can help people. But at the end of the day-to-day nuts and bolts of what happens, it is run by Sandy and Liz and Melissa, and they do it well. And where we figure out there's issues in our system, we'll work around it, and we'll figure out how to fix it. But that's really, you know, while I am the guy, you know, kind of behind the scenes, I kind of want to keep it that way, right? Because the objective of any business owner is within a certain amount of time is to step away from the business. And I don't hide that. That's my objective within the next couple of years. Hopefully get another franchise on the other side of the water where it's desperately needed. Last year, we won the COVA Best of Business Award. We won the best cleaning company for both the Peninsula and the South Side. We don't do business on the Peninsula. so I guess that means we should put an office there. So
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's really, really an important point, though. I mean, you weren't the absentee owner, and you were quite the opposite in the sense of you took ownership. I mean, it's amazing to me how many people that I talk to that as soon as they really, really lean into something and they put everything they can into it, it's like, wow, all of a sudden results start happening. And you were able to see things that you wouldn't have been able to see or notice otherwise, and expand things, going into laundry service, looking at the reoccurring customers that you have. You know, how do you convert the one-timers into reoccurring? I mean, you wouldn't have been able to do that if you were absentee. So, I mean, there's so much credit that goes to you and to those people that really take ownership of what they're doing and focusing on the process and the results.
Well, you know, one of the things I looked at in our network, and I think just in franchising network in general, is that, you know, you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't get close enough, you'll never know it. Right. So, I realized that pretty early on. And that's why I tried to try and help out my peers as much as possible, because it's easy to miss the big stuff if you're not in tune with it. So that's one of the things. And quite honestly, I learned from, the EO network and some other folks that you need to be close to your business in order to have the capability in the future to step away. And so I know how I could run my, my systems. I could manage my CRM. I could manage my scheduling system. I could manage, our gather up system, which is where we get feedback from our customers. I know how all those works. I know the nuts and bolts of it. Am I good at it? I'm good at it. Am I great at it? No, there are people who are better at it than I am. But, I think I've learned that you have to work in your business and be comfortable with how it works before you can, hire others to do it and trust them to do it. And then just rely on back end reports, right? So are things going the way they should? And, like anything else, I manage my KPIs. On the other side of this wall, I have a whiteboard where, I think, Zach, you saw it. So, I look at a couple different KPIs. I look at them daily, weekly, and monthly. And that is a very, very, very good indicator for me of, are we on track? And if so, then how do we capitalize on what's going well? Or are we not on track? And then I can go back in the reports and say, all right, so here's what's going on, right? So the pandemic hit us, right? It hit us hard. And we were on a great trajectory, and then we plummeted, right? The first quarter was that 2020. We were looking great. January was great. February was great. March was looking good. And then, we just took a dive, and then we came back and we came back pretty strong. But, we're still seeing it every now and again where we have, people canceling their services because, Omicron, we had that issue. We had the spike before that. So we see that, and it stings a little bit, but they always come back because, like I tell people, we sell dope here. We sell dopamine. When you walk in your house, Zach, you've done it. You walk in your house after we cleaned, and it smells clean, and there's vacuum lines, and there's nothing in the sink. Your shoes aren't on opposite sides of the room. We put them together beside your bed, and we fold the blankets on your couch, and we fluff your pillows, and we made your bed and stuff like that. Let me tell you something, that dopamine hits, and you're like, yeah, that was good money that we spent. And as those nights, you take your shoes off, you don't let anybody in your house with your shoes, you order a pizza, you yell at people, when they come in the house, don't touch anything. So that's what we sell.
That is true. You're like, how long can I keep this clean for? To me, it's like, okay, like to find a place that your wife approves so you don't have to like handle that is a good perk. I'll call it dopamine if you want me to.
I call it domestic equity. We're selling
domestic equity. It's a great thing, and it's exciting to have there. When we chatted on, what do we say, October 11th of 2020, something like that. One of the big things that was working from a marketing perspective was taking the old yard sign and throwing it up on a yard, and people drive by and do it. Are you still seeing success with that, or are you seeing anything else from success that might be a little out of the norm?
So we still have, I probably still have 25 of those signs. And we don't use them like we were. We just don't. Really, where we're seeing the majority of our success is, listen, we got a lot of great reviews. I think we're over 400 Google reviews. We're at 4.8 stars, and I want to get to that 4.9. For some reason, that's like my that's the goalpost for me. But nobody does anything without checking you out, right? So nobody really does anything without looking at Google or whatever. And listen, we're not perfect. We've got some bad reviews, and we're a home services business. People have high expectations. Sometimes we hit it. 4.8 out of 5 stars, we hit it. Sometimes we don't. But we're going to correct it, right? So, and I think because I respond to every one of those Google reviews. I respond to them within minutes of getting
That's something that you do personally?
I do personally, yeah.
Nice.
I respond to every single one of them. And if we hit the mark, hey, great, we appreciate it. We got a great team. They work hard, and I appreciate people recognizing that. When we don't hit the mark, you got to be accountable, right? You got to fall on your sword. And one of the things we tell people, hey, listen, I don't offer refunds. I offer recleans. So we're going to come out and get it right? Just like anything else. If you order a steak medium rare and it comes out well, you're going to send it back, right? So we're going to get it right. Give us the opportunity to get it right. And we tell our customers that. We'll come right back out that same day or as soon as our schedule allows. But we are accountable. And I'm not going to hide behind, hey, I got 4.8 stars. We can do no wrong. We can't. People have bad days. People sometimes miss stuff. You can get very myopic when you're cleaning, right? You're like, all right, I got this this tub done. I'm all right. The bathroom's done. You can forget something else. So it happens. We're dealing with humans. Humans are flawed. So, but we're going to come out and get it right. Give us that opportunity. And some people, say, yeah, if you can get back out tomorrow, that'd be great. And other people like, what, we took care of it. But just next time, make sure you hit whatever.
It's interesting. The last time you guys cleaned my house, something like that happened to me, and I don't remember who it was, but someone was walking around with me. They do like the let's
walk through before we leave.
Yeah, and I just looked at something. They looked at it as well, and we're like, "Hold on, that's wrong," and stopped, fixed it, like through that thing, and it was like, "Oh, okay." I mean, thank you for doing that. Like it really. And it was something really, really simple. Like I don't remember what it was, but it was just like, that's good. Having that kind of QA in there is important. And I think by doing that, if you can be in the facility, in the house at that point, makes things a little bit better. So
we do have a QA person that they are out. That's their job. That's their only job is all day. They're going behind the teams. And of course, we're in, 40, 50 houses a day. They can't go to every house, but we go through a sampling and we have a priority list of what she should be looking at. And Beverly does a great job. But she's going behind the teams and making sure that they're doing everything appropriately. And she's leaving a note when she does that. And I mean, I don't know, how many companies are doing that, but it's important. We have a vision, we have an objective to be the most sought after, most professional cleaning company on the South Side. Right. And I think, Zach, you've dealt with my people. They're kind, they're generous. They are, customer service oriented. They want your feedback. That's why we do the walkthrough, because guess what? We want to make sure you're happy, number one, and I don't want to come back. So, that's why we do it. So we got the QA in play so that we do it right. And we do have priorities. So if it's a one-time clean, we probably want to see that, and make sure we're not going back. If it's a customer that didn't give us the greatest rating last time, then we're going to go do a quality check on it. If it's a customer that hasn't rated us in a while and they're a recurring customer, we're going to want to go and check in on them. So we have some priorities that we list out, and that has served us well for retention as well as satisfaction.
Well, and the results speak for themselves. For those that follow Zach and I on the Twitter, we're going back and forth a couple of times, and just the fact that you have more than 7x your business since the start. So, I mean, the results speak for themselves in terms of ownership, process, and making sure that you're doing things the right way.
Yeah, and so I appreciate that, and it's been a unique journey. But I will tell you that a lot of that is circumstances, which the pandemic provided. And I can't remember, what author said this, but, never fail to take advantage of a good crisis. Right. And that's really kind of what happened. And if you look at what happened the first quarter, second quarter of 2020, a lot of companies just got scared, and a lot of customers got scared, and they got scared in the short term. Right. So like the first quarter, like, wait a second, we don't know what's going on. We don't know how to handle this. We don't know who should come in, who should go out, where we should go. Should we wear a mask? Should we wear a bio suit? So nobody really knew what to do. So we kind of had to make some critical decisions. It's kind of that fight or flight. And we went all in. I went all in on marketing. I went all in on hiring. I went all in on getting the right chemicals. I remember going to my supplier with my pickup truck, and I'm like, I will take as much of that stuff as you can load in the truck. And they were like, well, we're only supposed to give away so much. And I'm like, load it up, let's go. So, and I'm glad I did. And I mean, it was when they I think when they shut down schools. I mean, I called my supplier, I said, I'm coming. I'm going to take everything you got, because we didn't know what was going to happen. And so a lot of companies kind of shut their doors because they weren't going to make any money. And then when they wanted to reopen their doors, they couldn't find employees. And if you were a small mom and pop shop that just had a couple of employees and a couple of customers, if you have 20 customers and say 3 employees, and 50% of your customers go away because they're terrified, you don't have a business anymore. So when all those businesses went away, when people started coming back out of their houses in May or so, they went to call those companies and they weren't there. But we were. And I give the analogy, and I might have gave the same analogy in October of 2020, where it was like the scene in Forrest Gump, where, you know, all the ships were tied to the docks when the hurricane came, but Forrest and Lieutenant Dan were out shrimping. And they came back and all the boats were thrown out, you know, all over the place. So they were the only ship at sea. And that's kind of what happened to us. And so, you know, that marketing and that top of mind advertising kind of paid off. And we blew up.
It is interesting because, you know, it's hard to believe we're I mean, almost in year 3 of this thing, if you really think about it. And it was stay in your house, you know, don't be around people. And so that's what's being thrown at you. I think the overwhelming majority of people followed that procedure or that request. And and then there's people who are like, hold on, let's not, whatever the crisis quote you just said was, is like, don't waste a good crisis. It's like, yo, this is clearly a crisis. Let's go. And so that's why I think you're seeing kind of the growth that you are seeing, is because you weren't waiting there. Did you say that you went and bought all the supplies from like the cleaning supply store? Is that what you said?
I got as much as I could possibly get. I got cases by cases.
So you're that guy. You're that guy that took all. Okay. Mm-hmm.
But it was like the commercial stuff that, like, and I remember calling like my supplier, said, all right, so what do you have that kills this stuff? And he was reading labels and he's like, our coronavirus says on this one. And granted, it's not the same strain, but I'm like,
yeah.
Corona. I'm like, all right, I'll take it. And
well, I remember Microderm, like I started promoting around the same time, and like they saw a huge, I think that's what it's called, Microderm cleaning supplies, something like that. They started seeing a huge spike in sales just because they were the only ones promoting that type of thing at that point, and people could buy it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, that stuff lasted us for a long time. We used it all. And so I'm glad we did what we did, because otherwise you just couldn't get it, you know, it's on back order.
Right. So something else that's happened in the last year or so with you is you've decided to make health a bigger priority individually to yourself personally. So kudos to that. What have you seen from just the relationships or parallels between kind of the health and the business aspect of it? Like, how do you feel better at work? How's that aspect going?
Yeah. So, a lot more clarity. You know, it's kind of amazing how, and I never really ate poorly. I just probably didn't make the best choices. You know, I'm not a fast food guy. I can't tell you the last time I had fast food, so to speak. But I just made more conscious decisions with regards to what I was eating. And it paid off. I mean, I lost 30 pounds and, you know, it's, you know, about 7 months, 8 months. And it just, you know, it's behaviors, you know, I used, you know, Noom, like I've told you guys, it's behavior based. So you change your behaviors and as long as you commit, you know, I mean, commitment comes before change, right? So I definitely committed to it, and I saw a fairly dramatic change, and it's not hard. You know, I feel like I eat all day, and I eat a lot of apples and carrots and things like that. I just eat a lot more fruits and vegetables than I had in the past, and I just stay away from stuff that makes me feel bad or bogs me down. And I've always drank a ton of water, so that was never like an issue. But I scaled back on the amount of like meat that I consume. That had a huge difference. And that's really it. And then just, you know, I said, I got my dog who's, you know, behind here somewhere. You know, I walk, you know, take him for 3-4 walks a day. So I do a couple miles a day with him. And that's the time I take to, you know, listen to, you know, Zack Miller podcasts and listen to my you know, Audible things like that. So it helps me clear my head so that, when I come back, I'm a little bit more ready to go.
From the business standpoint, what motivates you? Is it looking at the whiteboard on the other side of the wall and saying, I want to beat those numbers? Do you get franchise reports that you want to be the number one franchise? What is it that motivates you?
I think everything you said, Tim, is accurate and makes sense. But what truly motivates me is seeing other people successful, and that's not cliche. And I'm not saying that for any other reason, but it truly is. I like to see my people happy. I like to see my staff, doing good things and making money and having fun at work. I like to see my peers, whether they are peers from Two Maids and a Mop or peers in the cleaning industry. I like to see them successful, and I help them out any way possible. I went and priced a house the other day, and it's a horrible situation. Gentleman, close to my age, his wife passed away, and he's just in a tough spot. He needs a lot of work done, and it's outside of my wheelhouse. But I said to the guy, I said, listen, you're not going to have to make any more phone calls. Like, I'll figure this out. We'll get this taken care of. And I've got a couple of people that are going to price them out and hopefully take care of them. So I like to see other people do well. Hopefully I've learned enough by getting kicked in the teeth the past couple of years that people won't make those mistakes again, or maybe they'll trust the direction or suggestions that I give them. But I like to see, there's a lot of people in this industry. I really don't look at them as competition. There's a lot of business in this area. There's plenty of business to go around. I don't want all of it. I don't want the responsibility of all of it. I want the responsibility of taking my share of it, that I'm comfortable with, and that provides a good living for me and my family and my staff. But at the end of the day, I want to see, a bunch of other cleaning companies that are successful, and that provide a service, because it is a service. You have to have a giver's heart to do this, because you're giving your time and energy to somebody you don't even know. So that's a big deal to me.
And that lends itself really well into a program that you have, Cleaning for a Reason. Yeah, super cool program. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Cleaning for a Reason is a not-for-profit. They're actually out of Texas. It is an organization that connects cleaning companies with cancer patients. So Cleaning for a Reason, it's great. We've been involved with them since day one. In the lobby of my office, we have a bunch of awards and things like that from them. But we do free cleanings for people battling cancer. Men, women, or the families of children battling cancer. We do 2 free cleanings. You get a team of 2 for 2 hours twice. And you can do it today and tomorrow. You can do it, tomorrow and next month. You can do it, a week from today, whatever you want. I mean, we'll figure it out when we got room on schedule, but we're going to come in and we're going to clean your house. Because I don't think people understand the emotional and just, the amount of headspace a dirty house takes, right? So, people walk in their house, if their house is a mess and your house is a mess when you leave, you kind of have a hard time coming back to it at the end of the day. And I know that weighs heavy on a lot of people who, especially, quite honestly, women who are battling cancer. Women have a hard time detaching from the fact that they have to upkeep the house. They have to do these things. It is their traditional role. And while traditional roles have pretty much gone by the wayside, and something that certainly doesn't apply in my house. I mean, I do the laundry for crying out loud, and I enjoy it because it's like cutting the grass. I start it and finish it, and I can see the progress. But I think a lot of women struggle with that. So when we can go in and do those things, it takes a lot off people's shoulders and allows them time to treat and heal without the extra burden of all these other things that we need to do. So we've donated close to $20,000 in free cleanings over the years, and that's something that we just don't say no. If you're in this territory and you go to cleaningforareason.org and you put your information in and you nominate us as the cleaning company, we're going to take care of that. And if we can't, we're going to find somebody who can. So that's a big deal. I think everybody's been touched by cancer. Everybody has. And so it's something that we can do. And giving back is a big thing.
It's great.
Super cool.
Moving on from that, the transitions are always difficult, by the way. I don't know how any host can do. I mean, it's just great that you guys do that. So you've heard headlines over the last 2 years just about jobs in general, keeping talent. Who knows where all these people are going? Lots of job openings, lots of unemployment left and right. You've seen your own in the business where it's been challenging at times and a little bit better at other times. What are some of the things that you've done to retain some of that talent? And what do you think all these people, where are all these people working with all this unemployment available? It's wild.
It's hard. It's it's hard to sell this as, it's not a sexy job, right? It's not. It's hard work. It's labor. It's hard to sell this job. It's hard to attract people. So you have to differentiate yourself. And I like to think we differentiate ourselves. Again, Zach, you've had my staff come to your house. We're not your typical cleaning service, right? I mean, they're happy. They have good attitudes. They are outgoing. Customer service is a focus of ours. I've got good habits. I got bad habits from corporate America. One of the good habits is core values, right? So we've got core values, and we bang our decisions against it, and we hold people accountable to them. One of our core values is have fun. It's actually our first core value, right? So have fun. We want people to go to people's houses, leave notes on their chalkboards, on their whiteboards, set up the kids' stuffed animals on the bed, make it like a Toy Story, kind of setting where the big bear is reading to the little bears. Have fun, do fun stuff, sing, dance in people's houses. It's okay. We tell people to bring their true self to work. I feel like I was locked in a cage for 20 something years in corporate America. I couldn't behave the way that I wanted to. Come to work, and as long as your behavior is appropriate, you're good to go. So we tell people have fun. Another one of our core values is, make mama proud. Do the right thing. Make sure people notice that you're there, that you've done something for them, and you did it because it's the right thing to do. And then talk about it. Communication is a huge thing here. I pay for an app that is anonymous, but we blast out, questions to our staff, like, what can we do to make your job better? What's the one thing you would change if you could? Or what do you like about your job? What would you, have us, do differently? We send those out, and it's anonymous, and it comes to me, and we read it. And so from a leadership perspective, I don't have to shoot from the hip, right? If 10 people say, hey, we need to change this, we're probably going to look into changing that, right? So communication is huge. And then the last thing is work as a team. I don't want one of my teams back at 1:00 and then another team back at 7. Work as a team. Let's communicate. And we have an app that we all communicate on. So if we see somebody's running behind, hey, who's in the area that can go and help this team? And while we monitor that based on where people are, we know where they are. We're going to help people out. So, and then we do quarterly celebrations, right? Like on me, we're going to go and do something, right? We've gone to Topgolf. We've gone out for pizza and beer. We've had cookouts at my house. I've had, Halloween parties at my house. We've done pumpkin carving in the office. We've done gingerbread house contests in the office. Like, we have fun. It's hard work. It's got to be recognized, and I appreciate what they do. And that's just one of the ways that we can do it. I cook breakfast, or I bring in breakfast every Friday morning here. It's just what we've been doing since day one.
Well, that's one of the things. Sorry, Zach, is that you're right. It's not a sexy business, but somehow you have found a way to make it a whole lot more sexy than what it is, in the sense of taking care of customers, taking care of staff. So kudos to you. It's just keep on innovating and trying new things. That's awesome.
What song did you want to sing when you're cleaning?
Me?
Yeah, you said you were locked up, cooped up for 20 something years, and then you let your teammates come in and sing while they're cleaning. Like, what song would you want to sing?
I'm a deadhead, so nothing you want to hear.
I'm not even
Yeah,
sure.
it's all just one song. It's just really long. Like my wife says, "Oh my God, it's the same song."
Is that like the fish heads people? Like
yeah,
red heads, the fish. Got it. Mm-hmm, got it. When I hear what you just said about keeping talent and stuff like that, it's like be a human.
Yeah,
be a human.
Yeah, it's and we deal with a a certain demographic that we have in this industry. And listen, they need somebody to help them out. They need somebody to listen. They need somebody to be flexible, empathetic. But I'm not a fool, right? I'm going to help you out. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to do what I can to help. But here's the trade-off, right? And I'll tell people this all the time. I will bend over backwards to help you do whatever you want. If you want a different job, great. Let's talk about it. What do you want to be when you grow up? I belong to a lot of fantastic business organizations. I know a lot of great people. I could put you in front of some fantastic people that might give you a shot, right? So tell me what you want to be when you grow up. Give me the opportunity to help you. I've sat down here, on Saturdays helping people with resumes. We've done mock interviews, and I'll do that. We had, one of my EO partners in here Friday. That's this past week. Credit counselor, right? So hey, here's how you get your credit right. Here's what you should be doing. Here's what you should be looking at. So I'm going to provide them with an education. I'm going to provide them with whatever resource they ask for. Here's the trade-off. Come to work hard, treat my customers right, treat yourself right, be responsive, be accountable. I've got all the time in the world for you. It's easy for me. And for a lot of folks, they haven't been afforded that, in the past. Why not? So the expectation is that he's my boss or, he's the owner. He'll never do these things. So when we start actually living up to those things and people are like, wait a second. So maybe he is honest.
Yeah.
And then they see people take advantage of those programs that we put together and they see those people do well and get out of debt and increase their credit scores and stuff like that. Wait a second. It can work. Yeah. But you got to put in the effort. Right. So we do that. And I don't, and we do it because it's the right thing to do.
It's awesome. Super cool.
That's it. Good job, Lee.
We do it because Zack Miller says.
I mean, it's to think that just how great everything was going first appearance. Now second appearance, looking forward to the next appearance to see how things go. When you let me know when you open up on the peninsula, because I'm not a customer because I am on the peninsula. I was the guy voting for you on the Coco.
You were the one. It was you.
That's funny. Yeah, and I mean, I think you walk your talk, right? A lot of people will say very similar things to what you just said, right? But the couple of times I've been to your office, one of the times you were doing something just like that with like a banking professional coming in, teaching the staff, your teammates, hey, here's how to handle this type of thing. I've seen stuff on your Facebook where you're like, hey, I've got a teammate that's looking to rent a house or an apartment in this kind of thing. Like you see it happen. Right. And so it's clear to me that you aren't just, pulling someone's chain. You are acting on the things that you say you are. And I appreciate that. And I respect that, where I think a lot of people will just be like, yeah, I'm going to do those things. And then they never actually happen. And then their teammates are like, yo, bro, like I thought you were about this lifestyle, but you're clearly not. And so kudos to you for doing that. And we look forward to having you on, let's see, this is 70 episodes, so like episode 160 something. Tim, does that math work?
That sounds great. We'll book it.
We'll keep pace with that. Yeah.
Don't ask me for that math on how many days from now that is, though.
We get it on the calendar. Yeah. Get
it on the calendar. There you go. Lee, appreciate it. You guys can check them out. Two Maids A Mop.com/Virginia-Beach. Till next time.
If you like what you've heard, subscribe to us on
YouTube.
Subscribe to us on YouTube. Download us on all your favorite podcast platforms, and we'll keep on trying to push out great shows like this. And if there's anyone that you would like to see on the show, let us know, and we'll do what we can to get them as a guest.
Until next time, peace.